Hi guys, it's your girl Caitlin, and welcome back. It's been a while since I've ever said that, but yes. For anyone living under a rock, tomorrow is D-Day, where Blizzard is after 5 years releasing some classic fresh realms, and as we all know, well, anybody that watches me at least, there ain't nothing I love much more than a good bit of fresh. So yes, we will be back. So, being the proactive content creator that I am, I never take breaks. I post all the time, very consistently. I figured I would jump on the fresh bandwagon and give what I consider to be the lesser known guide for fresh, the Degen guide for fresh. What one does when you have taken time off work and you've ostracized yourself from anybody in real life because, people can just interrupt your gaming session, And to that end, we're going to be talking about what the next 24 hours essentially looks like for me. It's not quite 24 at this point. At the time of recording, it's about 23 hours and 18 minutes, plus or minus a little bit. And then the footage you're seeing in the background is just some brief preparation that I've been doing with my leveling partner Cornell going into fresh. So, admittedly, most of this stuff, if you haven't done it already, it's probably a little bit late. I do apologize for that. As I said, I'm a very good content creator. I never, mess up timings or anything like that. And this whole process of me recording now and me making YouTube after all this time has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I've now got to be awake for the next 11 hours before I can go to sleep. And that I've got to find something to do in said 11 hours at 12 o'clock at night UK time. Definitely not what I'm doing right now. So, with that in mind, the first step that you could actually hypothetically do now, I'm going to try and get this video out literally ASAP as soon as I'm done. You could be looking at buggering up your sleeping pattern. So for me, the realm is launching at 10 PM my time, which is a really inconvenient time for a server launch. Thank you very much, Blizzard. NA bias, as always. But that does mean that I essentially want to be waking up at around about 8:30 PM my time. So I'm going to be going to sleep at around about 11 AM my time. So 11 AM on Thursday morning. So in about 11 hours or so, I'll be going to sleep. I'll then be waking up at half past 8 PM. So about 9.5 hours worth of sleep. And then server launch is an hour and a half afterwards. I could cut it finer. I could, wake up half an hour before, but I don't want to be rushing. I want to have a shower. I want to sit down, chill, have, a brew, read, have a last think about anything I need to be doing, and then, go ahead. When you're trying to sort your sleeping pattern out, either positively or negatively, as in, trying to fix it or trying to break it, the best way to do it is always just do it gradually in sort of like 2-hour gaps. I didn't have time to do that. Thank you very much again, Blizzard. I had a server launch race on last Saturday that I, prepped for. And then as soon as that was done, I literally just started prepping for Classic and breaking my sleeping pattern for that. C'est la vie. As I said, I do like extremes. So beyond that, and, our sleeping pattern, we've then got the actual character itself. What have I been doing with my characters? So, as I said, in the background we have a little bit of practicing. But before we do that, I will just go over at least my add-ons that I'm using. Now, this isn't by any means all the add-ons you could use or should use. When it comes to me and add-ons, as far as I'm concerned, on a launch, make it as simple as possible. You do not want, delays or add-on errors or anything like that on a launch. You just want to, it to be as free-flowing as possible. And, at the end of the day, you're leveling. Do you really need damage meters when you're level 4? Maybe, you know, when you're doing instances, if you want to, you know, you can add them later, but, you know, on the initial launch, keep it really simple. So, to that end, we have what I'm currently using. So, level 1 quick setup is, as it says, it skips the cinematic, really good, and also allows you to keep all of your interface options for level 1 characters. So what you essentially do with this add-on is you'll set up a level 1 character, you will save it. There's a command to save your settings for that level 1 character, and then if you create a character of the same class, so if I create this, a random priest, when I then load in, insta skip, load in, and then as you can see, everything is set up with all of my macros for all of my spells, and we can get rolling. Again, if anyone asks, all of the add-ons I'm showing today, I will link down the names below so you can get hold of them yourselves if you want to grab hold of them before launch. This one in particular, I would definitely highly rate as something that, even if you just do speedrunning in general or you make lots of characters ever, it's just really useful and really helpful. Secondly, we have got delete cheapest item. This is the most basic add-on ever. It literally does what it says. You hit the bind and it will show you what's the cheapest stuff in your bags, and then you can just click it, it automatically delete it. This saves you this sort of standard being like, shit, I need to pick up X quest item, but I've got all of this clutter, what's not worth, you know, keeping. Especially in default vanilla classic, where it doesn't give you the actual, you know, information as to how much your vendor's for. Healbars Classic, this is just show income healings. So as you saw, I'm leveling with a warrior friend of mine, shouts to Cornell, and it's useful for both of us to, or specifically for him, to know if he's got a big heal coming or whether he needs support or something like that. Obviously, we can communicate that over Discord. We do level together on Disc, but equally, it's just additional information that, you know, can keep comms a little bit clearer. Leatrix Plus, quality of life add-on, everything you ever needed. Plater, just has essentially, because I like to see debuffs over nameplates, and this is the easiest way of doing it. Rested XP, RXP, fantastic add-on. A little bit more about that later. And then Speedrunsplits, pretty much just for my own interest of how fast I'm going, and also for, you know, people watching the stream get to see. And that's about it. Nothing too fancy. However, as I said, back to a little comment on RXP in general, and one of the reasons that I really like RXP is incredibly malleable, by which I mean you can make edits to it very easily. So arguably the most important part of any fresh server launch is the actual very, very beginning. And one of the downsides of using an add-on, which everybody else is using, is invariably you'll be doing the exact same thing as everybody else, and you can invariably get a lot of cluster because of that. So in order to best alleviate that, shall we say, what I would advise you to do is try and create an alternative, you know, your own way of doing something. And you can very easily do that within RXP. So RXP, this is essentially so this is 1 to 12, and this is what the guide looks like. It's not as scary or complicated as it looks. Essentially, each step is a step in the guide, and then you'll have, like, you know, this is like a rogue specific step, warrior specific step, shaman specific step. If there's not a specified class, then it's just for everybody essentially. But what I always personally do is I will modify the guide to include routing that is specifically designed for me for the fresh. You know, so the way what the quests I'm specifically going to do, with the idea being to skip pretty much anything too absolutely horrible. You know, there are some quests that are just atrocious to do at the start. Lazy peons being the most obvious one in the all control starting zone. If you know the quest, you know the quest. It's truly horrible to do. On a fresh, and just it's crap every time, but it's really nasty on fresh. So while the add-on would say go do that, we're not going to fuck around with that shit. So we can just delete it from the guide, delete it entirely from the guide so it doesn't tell us to do it, and then add in our own alterations to account for that lack of XP. We can also include other stuff that we personally have, practiced or worked on in order to make up for that lack of XP. At the end of the day, you got to get the XP from somewhere, so it's just a case of finding what works for you and a little bit of practice. So again, in the next 24 hours, if you have been practicing at all, which I would advise everybody to do, even if it's just one run, 2 hours before launch, just give it a shot. It's dead easy to do. And you found something that, or you've made alterations, or you have your own guide or routing, then throw it into RXP. Again, really malleable. Not sponsored by them, just like the add-on. Just works really well in that regard. So it's going to be a chicken salad. It's going to be a sort of biryani type rice and chicken, and then it's going to be baked oatmeal, because I absolutely fucking love baked oatmeal. It's the tits. On top of that, we've then just got snacks. So the two big things when it comes to snacks is one-handed, and it's not going to cringe up your fingers. We don't want to be eating Cheetos and having orange powder all over our keyboard and just making it absolutely minging 10 minutes into a 5-day session. So for me, it's bananas, which obviously I will always eat on stream for comedy, rice cakes, yogurt, and then jelly. Yogurt and jelly, not necessarily the best thing to eat one-handed. You might have to take a little bit of a if you're flying or something like that, you could eat it. But the other two, again, really simple to eat one-handed. You can keep on pumping, keep on spamming wand as a priest, and won't slow you down at all. And I personally find them fantastic. Beyond that, obviously, I'm British, if you can't tell from the accent. So tea, lots and lots of tea. Though I am not a proponent of caffeine binging. Energy drinks, things like that. I don't want my GI, glycemic index going like this as I'm going through massive peaks and troughs of like shitloads of caffeine, bugger loads of sugar, and then I'm just going to crash and feel really, really tired until I can get some more caffeine inside me. You don't want that. You want it about as mid as you can get consistently, And because it's 1 to 60, you probably, I don't think anybody's going to be doing it in one session. I suppose hypothetically you could do it in one session, single segment, no sleep. I wouldn't advise that. So it's not like doing, 60 to 70 or something like that, where, you're looking at 30 hours played or something like that. And in the last 5 hours, you can be like, what, fuck it, I'm just going to pop, all the caffeine on the planet and keep myself awake for the next 5 hours, because then I'm done and I can sleep. You don't want to be going, you're going to go to sleep. You're going to hopefully sleep well if you've got, an absolute truckload of caffeine inside your system. Then that's not going to be happening, because the last thing you want to be doing is feeling really, really tired, going to bed, thinking, right, I'm going to get my 6 hours sleep before my next play session starts. And you spend the first 20 minutes of that sit there tossing and turning because you're just fucking vibrating because you've got like 10 grams of caffeine surging through your system. You don't want that. You want to go to sleep and just sleep, wake up, feel refreshed, have a shower, get back, go again. And sugar, caffeine, personally at least, not particularly my friend in that regard. I'll drink tea, obviously, as I go, but halfway through or sort of towards the end, I'll swap from caffeinated tea to decaf. I just like tea. I'm British again. It's my jam. But, there's no, I wouldn't say energy drinks for, long races like this. Try and keep, keep the sort of caffeine and the sugar to a modicum of normalcy in that regard. And the big downside, I suppose, of tea is you're going to piss a lot, especially when you drink as much as I do. We're not going to go low tier god here. There's going to be no piss bottles.
I'm a strong believer that toilets are not meant to be pissed in, only urinals. Piss splashes all over the seat. It's disgusting. It's unsanitary for a dude to piss in a toilet. So, preferably, I use a bottle.
We've got Flight Pass in this game. And, what else are you going to be doing? Might as well go for a slash in Flight Path. So, as much as we want to limit the downtime with, using the facilities, so to speak, we will, we'll use flight times for that and travel times. Plus, if you're leveling with someone like I am, you can always use the good old follow. So, that's essentially my list of Degen stuff, or preps so far. All we want to be doing is gaming for the next week or so. So, literally, sort your life out, prep it as much as you can. Try not to piss everybody in your life off, but priorities. Either way, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic fresh. If you want to catch me live, you can do so at twitch.tv/Caitlin_UK, or you can join my Discord. All the links for all that kind of crap is down below. And let me know in the comments. Am I degenning, or am I not degenning hard enough? Should I be getting the piss bottle out? Who knows? But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic fresh. We have waited 5 years for this, and fingers crossed, please let it not be completely a laggy shit show. Yeah, I think I'm sort of clutching at straws at that point. Either way, guys, enjoy your fresh. Peace.